Coming straight out of Canton, 24/7, 365. From the Hall of Fame city, this is Uncensored Football.
Welcome into another edition of Uncensored Football, hanging out with you just like everybody, wanting to talk a little football, so we're going to get it going here for you. Of course, myself, Brad Russell, we got Zach Zander, and of course, the fantasy big shot, EJ Savavik, hanging out with you again, talking football, trying to get back to normal life. And EJ, you got some great news today, some family business, and some shout-outs. You want to show a little love? Why don't you lead it off with today's little football topic?
Yeah, man, my little bro, he's going to West Virginia. 6'2", 235 fullback. Led the county in pancakes. He's graduating today. So I want to shout out to that whole 2020 senior class, man. The poor kids don't get to walk the stage like we all got to. They don't really get to say goodbye to each other. It's really sad situation. But, you know, at Uncensored Football, we have love for all of y'all. And best of luck to everybody in that 2020 class.
Yeah, that's awesome. Congratulations to him and best of luck on the next step down in West Virginia and to everybody in that 2020 Classic. Again, a big tip of the cap here from the folks at Uncensored Football. But let's get into some football talk, some news in the NFL. A few things popping off today we want to get into, and it's going to start in the Iron City. We're going to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Big Ben finally got to the barbershop. He had made the declaration after he got hurt that he wasn't going to shave his face or get a haircut until he could throw a pass, a legit NFL pass, and he was out there on the practice field today. Juju, Connor, some other Pittsburgh Steelers wide receivers getting some work in, throwing that NFL pass, and he finally got a haircut, guys. It leads us to the question, what are you thinking about Big Ben coming up in 2020? Do you think the arm's going to be good? Do you think he can resurrect and make that offense and bring them back to prominence and lead them to a playoff spot after they've missed it the last 2 years in Pittsburgh? Zach, lead it off with your thoughts on Big Ben.
You know, I have mixed feelings. So this guy was looking like a homeless person a couple months ago, and he finally shaved it up, and it looks like he shaved his gut up a little bit. And I have to be a little excited. It looks like he's actually taking his health into concern a little bit and actually look like an athlete, even though he's far from a Tom Brady, a Drew Brees, that type of diet system. But he looked good. This is a serious injury. You don't see this in NFL, especially by a quarterback. It was an elbow injury, and he didn't throw for, we're talking almost 9 months. So it was good to see him out there. I'm not going to get too excited, but looking at the Steelers' stance, this team is a quarterback away from contending in the AFC, and I'm not joking. This team has a top 5 defense, a solid offensive line, a bunch of running backs, a bunch of receivers. This team is an elite quarterback away from contending. I just hope this guy has one more season in him because I do happen to be a Steelers fan.
Yeah, for me, it's not the hair or the gut right now. It's the arm. No quarterback's ever come back from this Tommy John surgery. And I know with medical technology, Tommy John's, there's a lot of guys that come back better and stronger with the arm. But at 38 years of age, we saw what Phillip Rivers has done. Eli Manning bowed out last year for the most part. He's retiring. I just don't know what he's got left in the tank. I think that's the big question with Big Ben. Where do you stand with Big Ben, EJ?
Man, you better pump your brakes on all them questions, buddy, because Big Ben is a different character. I'll tell you what, He's the only guy I know and I've seen that's tough. I'm talking 70s football tough. I'm talking a guy that doesn't sit out with a broken pinky like Romo used to, a guy that will play on one leg and one arm, barely being able to throw the football with a hurt shoulder. Big Ben is a tough son of a bitch. He always been one, and he still is. But the best beauty about it is
he's still 38, though. He's still 38.
Listen, man, he said he hasn't been pain-free and feeling this good in years. And Z, this dude looked like a stud, dude. Like, this dude looked in shape. He's never been a weight room guy. You ain't going to ever see a cut up, a ripped Big Ben. He ain't never been a weight room guy. But the way that he was looking, his belly was gone. I mean, he did. He looked like he was 50 pounds overweight. He's
completing passes against air with no DBs.
Come on, man. See how excited they were? We're talking about a wide receiver. We're talking Juju Smith-Schuster. He's back. We're talking about a group that's catching balls from Mason Rudolph and Duck.
Exactly.
Come on, baby. We're hyped out here.
I'd be excited too.
I mean, during COVID and quarantine and everything else, I'm excited to walk down to the mailbox. So I think these guys are just excited. They were just excited to get out of their house a little bit. So I might pump the brakes a little bit on that. And it's Big Ben. He's never going to have a six-pack.
No.
But I was happy to see him out there throwing the ball, doing something with that elbow. And I'm telling you, this team can contend this year. but it's all on Big Ben. They brought in nobody else. Mason Rudolph is not taking them anywhere. If something goes wrong with Ben, Duck Hodges, put him on Duck Dynasty because he's not a fucking NFL quarterback. I got to pump my brakes a little bit on the Big Ben love, but it was nice to see him out there.
Now, looking at him healthy, he can absolutely put up the numbers he did 2 years ago, Z. Are you going to tell me that he cannot? I mean, he looked in way better shape than he did 2 years ago, and you saw the numbers. The numbers do not lie.
Right, but the thing is, we don't care about what you just said it. We don't care what he looks like if he's healthy or not because he's looked fat before and he can still go out there and chuck it because that's who he is. That's Big Ben. I just don't know if he's still going to be able to go out there and chuck it with that elbow. Taking a couple shots, you don't know how that 38-year-old body is going to stand up. But let's go off of the premise that he's Big Ben, and we're at least seeing like 70, 80% of Big Ben, which is it's a vast improvement from Duck or Mason. So let's go under that assumption. And what does that mean for some of the guys around him? I think this is definitely going to be stock up if you do get a healthy Big Ben for Juju and for some of the other guys in the wide receiving core. Let's start there. Let's talk with those guys. Zeke, go ahead, lead it off when it comes to Juju and some of the other guys in the wide receiver core.
Juju Smith-Schuster coming off a subpar 2019 season where he was injured and the quarterback play his stock went straight down. I think you can catch up on that this year in Dynasty and Fantasy redraft and get a good value on him because a lot of people are a little scared of him. This guy is still 23 years old. He has shown he can be a wide receiver 1 in this league. He just needs the quarterback to get him the ball. He needs to stay healthy. And behind him, you have Deontay Johnson, which I was very excited after his rookie season coming out of Toledo. This guy was making a lot of plays in the open field. I'd like to see Big Ben getting him the ball more of a just Duck wasn't doing it. Mason Rudolph wasn't doing it. They were struggling to get him the ball other than in screen plays. I like to see him in the open field a little bit more. James Washington, Chase Claypool, they have some weapons. This team just needs the quarterback.
EJ, I kind of want to talk about Deontay Johnson, and we'll kind of start with that and get your thoughts and opinions on him. And we'll kind of steer it towards Dynasty. I know you're big into the Dynasty world. Let's throw some names at it and have some fun with it. Deontay Johnson, and I'm going to throw some of these rookie wide receivers at you and where you would kind of put them compared to Deontay Johnson. You cool with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go with a guy like T. Higgins. Would you rather own T. Higgins or Deontay Johnson?
Deontay Johnson.
Okay.
Rookie
Michael
quarterback versus a Big Ben, a healthy Big Ben. Deontay Johnson, a focal point. T. Higgins, I think is going to be really great, but that guy A.J. Green is still a monster. And that boy Tyler Boyd from the University of Pittsburgh, he's an athletic freak. John Ross, it's just a more crowded wide receiver group.
Okay, fair points. Michael Pittman Jr. there in Indy.
I'm going to go ahead and – are you going back to me still? I'm going to stick with Deontay Johnson here on this one. We don't know what we're getting out of him. We know what we got out of Deontay Johnson with bums. I'm talking Mason Rudolph and Duck. Imagine when he's got a quarterback like Ben. Ben's going to love this kid.
Okay, let's go Justin Jefferson there in Minnesota. I'm going to
go with Justin Jefferson.
Okay.
I think he's going to be a day one superstar, a lot of volume. Volume matters the most because Juju's going to eat. And I'm not so sure James Washington ain't going to eat too. I mean, Eric Ebron's going to eat, but I think that guy Jefferson, Thielen, he might got a little left in the tank. I hope he does, but I think Jefferson is going to be a monster.
And I'm going to go ahead and assume you'd rather have Ruggs, Rieger, Lamb, or Judy above Deontay Johnson.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So we're all kind of on the same path there. Was there any of those guys, Zeke, that stood out to you that you'd rather have than Deontay?
No, not that really stick out. It's kind of funny that you brought up Michael Pittman. I actually have Deontay Johnson as my 51st ranked wide receiver in Dynasty and Michael Pittman as my 52nd ranked wide receiver in Dynasty. So I believe there's two similar wide receivers, even though their game doesn't depict that. I believe they're in the same fantasy scenarios. They're playing with older quarterbacks. They have other wide receivers on the other end. And I like Big Ben a little bit more and Phillip Rivers at this stage. So I'm going to lean towards the wide receiver with the better quarterback in Deontay.
All right. One more name that didn't get thrown in there just for fun. Lavictus Chenault. Who would you rather have?
I'm going to go with Deontay Johnson.
Come on now.
The Gardner Minshew, man, he's got a cool mustache, bro. He's got a cool-ass mustache.
That was my question. Any Laviska Shenault question automatically goes to Zach because that is my guy. He ended up in the sweetest of positions because Jaguars are going to be terrible. They're going to need this guy Day one, Levinska has superstar ability, and I do have him slightly higher than Deontay on my board, but only by about 5, 6, 7 spots. I do really like Deontay. He showed me a lot his rookie season, but Chenault, he's got the juice. This guy is going to be Debo Samuels on steroids. I cannot fucking wait.
All right.
They will be losing a lot and throwing the football a lot, but I just, you can't do that, man.
All right, little dynasty talk there as it pertains to, Big Ben and his return. Let's talk about the running backs in that running back room there for Pittsburgh, too, because I think obviously they get a little boost, too, with the added air threat of Big Ben. Again, we're going under that assumption that he's at least going to be 70 to 80% of what we know of Big Ben. So with that increased threat of a deep game, it opens some things up for the running backs. What do you see for the running backs in that running room, not only in Pittsburgh, and maybe how do they compare to some other guys? EJ, what do you think about the running backs in Pittsburgh with the return of Big Ben?
I mean, Tomlin this week just came out and said that he's riding James Conner. He just said it this week. Look it up. He said that that's my workhorse, and he said he doesn't like a committee. He likes to have one workhorse. So if you own James Conner, yeah, last year was rough, but if that boy stays healthy, man, we're talking about a guy with excellent vision. And I mean excellent vision. No, he's not the freak athlete as some of these other running backs in the league, but we're talking excellent vision, and he learned a lot from Bell, his patience, and James Conner is a damn good running back, man. If you got a full 16 games out of James Conner, you're talking running back one. But that's a big if.
Yeah.
You're talking a guy with lower extremity injury issues every year. But you know what, though? When you draft off ceiling. Only, you cannot draft and predict injuries. Nobody can predict an injury. But they put together a nice little committee with McFarland. He'll hit a wide open hole like Willie Parker. Yeah, I gave him a Pro Bowl comp, but I'm just saying the kid is fast, but he's also injury prone. Benny Snell did not have that vision. The Benny Snell was not what I hoped. In Kentucky, I thought this kid was a really good running back. When I saw him last year, I did not. And Jalen Samuels just totally fell off the bus. He had many opportunities. I'm not as excited about him.
Okay. Well, EJ kind of laid it out there. Zach, I want to ask you, who do you think, if Conner is that lead guy, who's the backup? Who's the other running back in Pittsburgh you'd want to own?
If we're talking dynasty, it's going to be Anthony McFarland because he has the superstar playmaking ability that EJ said, because he runs that low 4.4 at 210 pounds. He's fast as hell. Jalen Samuels, I think, is going to still kind of be the third down receiving back, even though he's not the elite athlete. And he's just a guy. He's really good on third downs, which you need that guy. James Conner doesn't excel at that type of thing. I think Benny Snell probably gets pushed to the side. He didn't show the elite burst that you need to win in the NFL. Maybe he can work on that, try to get better. I'm not seeing it. James Conner, it's kind of going to be his show this year, and he's not going to have too much competition. Can he stay healthy? I don't have too much faith in that. So he's a little bit down on my rankings.
All right. I think that kind of puts a wrap on everything that's coming out of Pittsburgh with Big Ben and his haircut and the not as big gut as we all thought it was, even though Jay Glazer was kind of throwing him under the bus and Big Ben kind of went back at him, which I respect. I enjoyed that. So we'll wrap up the Big Ben and the Pittsburgh talk. But I know there's also some news brewing out of the old Cheese City there is Green Bay. They shocked everybody in the draft and they grabbed Bryce Love. I know Aaron Rodgers spoke recently. Let's get into some of those topics. EJ, I know you had some thoughts on the things that are coming out of Green Bay.
We're talking a playoff team. Okay, first of all, a wonderful coach in LaFleur. I absolutely love the guy. I think he's awesome. But we're talking a playoff team that wants to be run first. They were run first last year, and LaFleur has complimented Shanahan the way that he is the running back by committee, and he wants to idolize it. He wants to model that exactly. I mean, that's what he wants to do. So Aaron Rodgers is coming off 2 mediocre seasons. Let's be honest. Aaron Rodgers is coming off of, I'm going to repeat it, 2 mediocre seasons. He's not the Aaron Rodgers that we're, the superstar Aaron Rodgers that we're thinking of. Not every quarterback can play into their 40s anymore. I mean, we got to realize that. It used to be, around 33, 34, 35, you get a new quarterback. Everything that's happened is normal. People are acting like, oh, my God, that's so offensive. But listen, man, let Love sit behind him for 4 years like he did behind Brett Favre. And who, we don't know how much gas he has left. But the fact that, LaFleur right now is kind of trying to mold things together. He came out today and said, oh, Reggie Begelton, he is so impressive. He was in the CFL, had 102 catches, 1,444 yards, 10 touchdowns. Brad, we're talking about the CFL, bro.
Right.
I mean, LaFleur, are you going to hype this dude? The guy that I really like at wide receiver, too, is Devin Funchess. I mean, but 2-3 years ago, he showed that he could be a great red zone threat. I think he had like 7-8 touchdowns, not crazy, almost 1,000 yards. But in that offense, I think Funchess is a great steal, man. I mean, you can get him in the 12th round. And why not? If he gets them 8-10 touchdowns in the 12th round, that's lovely. But they got to get control of that locker room, and it's got to happen through LaFleur. So he's trying with Reggie Begelton. I'm just not sure that's the angle he should be going with.
Yeah, I just wonder too. And I mean, I know you can make an argument for drafting a Bryce Love and having a guy there at the ready to be the heir apparent. But I think you could have at least given a shot at going and getting a playmaker for Aaron Rodgers. Make at least one run at it. You won 13 games last year, and I know a lot of them were close. But at the end of the day, when you got a guy like Aaron Rodgers, if he's the Hall of Famer you believe in, you go and get him a weapon and you try to make one more run at it, because you can always get an heir apparent next year or in the second round, or try to build somebody or mold somebody, because all these coaches, they're coaches for a reason. And they've got a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. They believe that they can mold football players into better football players, into Pro Bowlers, into Hall of Famers and Super Bowl champions. That's why they do the job. They wouldn't do it if they didn't think they could. So, I mean, grab another heir apparent, and maybe next year you still have the guy for 4 years. At the end of the day, it just raises a lot of questions, and I wonder how quickly things fester in Green Bay. And if Aaron Rodgers ever wants to get out, I'm sure there'd be open arms in New England to bring Aaron Rodgers in. I know there's been a lot of talk about that and what he would do in a Bill Belichick offense, but that's not going to be this year. So we'll kind of keep it at that. What it will do, though, is you talked about that run first thing. Let's talk about the running backs in Green Bay and what that can mean for fantasy owners. Zach, let's get your thoughts on the running backs there in Green Bay.
Well, first of all, the harp on what EJ said. You can't let Jordan Love sit around for 4 years, let Aaron Rodgers retire, and then you don't know what you have in Jordan Love. So I agree with Brad. I think you should have went and got a weapon for him, not a quarterback that sit for 4 seasons. I think there's a big possibility Aaron Rodgers does not end up a Packer when he retires. I think I almost guarantee it. It could be a position like a Denver or a New England or some team that's ready to win now. They're not going to be able to just wait 4 years for Jordan. Aaron Rodgers pissed off. I mean, he's told multiple people that. And, yeah, we're talking about Devin Funchess and some scrub from the CFL, for God's sakes. I mean, he's got to be looking at what Denver did in the offseason and just being really pissed off that his GM is not John Elway. But the flip gears and get on the running backs, Aaron Jones, this is a running team in 2019. Aaron Jones looks to be that guy in 2020, but he is not under contract in 2021. They draft a running back in the second round, A.J. Dillon, who I loved coming out of Boston College, and he is this powerhouse Derrick Henry, LeGarrette Blount type running back that is going to punch you in the mouth and keep punching you and then end up taking control of the game in the fourth quarter, which I think LaFleur does want to do that. But I'm not as big a fan as EJ is on him. This team was 6-1 in games decided by 6 or less points. A couple different plays here and there. That's an 8-8 football team. I'm high on the Bears this season. I'm high on the Vikings. Detroit, not so much. So that's a tough division. I don't know. I don't think they're going to win it this year.
You know what, Z? Let me add on that, Brad, before you go. Listen, man, you ever been working for somebody and for a company, and then all of a sudden they hire a boss and he's younger than you? I haven't dealt with that, but, Aaron Rodgers is dealing with that. So I literally think there's a lot of unspoken things between LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers, to whereas, LaFleur needs complete control of this team, and Aaron Rodgers is kind of, hey, why is he deciding who they're picking? He should. I agree. Patrick Mahomes got his Edwards-Helaire. He said he wanted him. But that's just proof in the pudding that he's modeling Shanahan. He's going to do it his way. Like it or not, Aaron Rodgers, he took A.J. Dillon in the second round. You know how many good receivers were there when A.J. Dillon was there? He said that he knew that he was taking A.J. Dillon there since he watched Derrick Henry in the playoffs. So, we're just starting to see the beginning of the LaFleur era. And if Aaron Rodgers don't like it, sorry, buddy, he's going to be somewhere else.
Yeah, I think that's going to be an interesting storyline to watch all year in 2020, and it's however long it develops is that relationship between Aaron Rodgers and LaFleur. And I don't know if it's the age thing so much, and if anybody's to blame, it's Aaron Rodgers for running McCarthy out of town because they didn't get along and he didn't like the offense that he was running because it was too plain Jane, as they described it, when McCarthy got shown the door. at the end of the day, again, it's not the age for me. It's the fact that you're sitting there with a number one draft pick in the first, or not number one, but a draft pick in the first round, and you used it to get a quarterback, and LaFleur signs off on that. That, if I'm Aaron Rodgers, is going to irk me, and it's going to make me mad, knowing that my entire career with the Green Bay Packers, they never once used a first-round pick to get me an offensive weapon, when he's arguably one of the most talented quarterbacks we've ever seen play, and definitely in the last 10, 15 years, he's up there in the top three. And you never surround him with a top pick as far as a playmaker at the wide receiver position. I'd be a little pissed too.
This guy's sitting with Devin Funchess as his wide receiver too, for God's sakes. They don't even have a tight end. Jimmy Graham left. Yeah.
Sternberg's getting some love, but we don't know. We don't know.
He's going to come in there. No,
they drafted a guy.
Yeah, they drafted some scrubs in the third and fourth round. This is like filet mignon, and you're putting ketchup and barbecue sauce on it and telling me it's good. No, this is one of the elite players in NFL history, and they're going to run him out of fucking town. It's going to be funny, and I have a prediction. EJ, I have a prediction right here. Aaron Rodgers isn't finishing his career as a Packer, and he's still going to be a starting NFL quarterback after LaFleur is fired, because this ain't going to fucking work. This isn't going to work in 2020. This isn't going to work after Aaron Rodgers leaves in 2021.
LaFleur getting fired. Hey, do you remember where the Packers went this year? How far did they make it?
They got destroyed in the NFC Championship.
Yeah, but they made it.
What did they make it to?
I get what you're saying.
They beat,
and Jordan Love ain't even close to ready. His NCAA numbers were he showed potential, but his decision making was horrid. Listen, this guy's got to sit 3 to 4 years before he's ready to take over, just like Rodgers did.
But that's not how the NFL works. That's not how the NFL works. If you draft a quarterback in the first round, you got to know what you got, and you got to use them, because that's your window, because you're not paying him top dollar as an NFL free agent.
That's what their organization does. History repeats itself, bud.
I think you were right by saying it was a power play by LaFleur.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to lose it. I think he fucked this up, and not having weapons.
Not running the ball the way they did. That's for damn sure.
What it all comes down to, if Bryce Love hits and Bryce Love is good, he'll be all right. Jordan Love. Sorry, I always want to call him Bryce Love. I apologize, but if he's good, if Love is good, that's what'll ultimately matter when it comes to LaFleur and his job. If he can go out there and Aaron Rodgers does go somewhere else, and they can pick up right where they left off, and he looks like he can be the next Aaron Rodgers, he's going to be fine. LaFleur will be fine. But
real quick before we change it, I'm getting all kinds of messages about Reggie Begelton. Listen,
oh my God.
I'm just not feeling it. I'm just not feeling it like that, man. Devin Funchess is a nice sleeper, but I had a guy ask me today if he should trade a second rounder.
Is on Twitter and asking who. Come on.
Right. I just want to throw it out there because I got 2-3 messages about it. Like, come on, man. No, I'm not seeing it.
I'm about to go pick him up in a league.
They should have never let Cobb go. That's my last statement on the Packers.
Actually, I think Reggie Begelton just dropped me off Grubhub, dude. He was wearing a Packers jersey.
Uber Eats guy.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, man. Real quick, though, I know we kind of touched on the running backs. A.J. Dillon, where do you – I mean, obviously if he's a dynasty guy, but what do you think about him actual usage this year? Is he going to get to tote the rock a lot this year, or is he just somebody you stash and hold on to?
100%. He is a stash and hold on to. He's not going to have the relevance in 2020 unless something happens to Aaron Jones, which it could happen. We've seen him banged up before, but it's going to be the Aaron Jones show. They're going to run that man into the ground. Then they're going to let him hit free agency. A.J. Dillon's going to be the future. But if we're talking just 2020 relevance, he's just kind of a guy you're going to pick more down in the draft and just kind of hope Aaron Jones gets hurt. Or if you do get Aaron Jones, you definitely want to get you want to get him as your handcuff later in the draft for sure. So you have a little bit more incentive, but I don't expect big numbers. But when he does get on the field, I expect him to perform. That's for sure.
I know you like A.J. Dillon, right, EJ?
Absolutely. But I like him more in 2021.
Okay.
But here's the thing, though. These running backs are getting ridiculous with their paydays, right?
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Jones, though, I'm going to tell you something. He's got A-plus hands. That guy grabs balls out of the air. And I'm not just talking short routes. I'm talking deep routes. How many times have we seen Aaron Jones running straight up the field, grabbing 30-yard passes and scoring? I mean, this guy's got great hands. He really does. But he's looking for a big payday, man. I mean, how many touchdowns did he have? He had an amazing season, but A.J. Dillon, I see him in a LeGarrette Blount role. They're going to slow down that payday. His touchdowns are going to go down. And, LeGarrette Blount was always fantasy relevant. And I think right off the rip, A.J. Dillon is the goal line back. I mean, 250 pounds, how do you not give that man the ball? Don't be surprised if he gets in the end zone 10 times. Just vulturing touchdowns from that man, Aaron Jones.
Yeah, so you could really cut into Aaron Jones's value there, especially if he's vulturing those touchdowns. And when it comes to those NFL contracts too for running backs, man, if I'm a GM, I don't know if I'm passing out big money for running back. I'm just going to draft a guy in the second round the next year. It seems every year in the second round, that's just a honey hole. You're just nailing good running backs that can come out and be day one starters. Why would you ever give any running back, especially after if they're as good as they want and if they really deserve that contract, that means you've given them a ton of work, and that's wear and tear. And we know those guys don't hold up for years. Why would you ever give them a long-term big money contract if you're an NFL GM? I would ride them out if they're really good, if they're like a Zeke Elliott, if they're a Christian McCaffrey or Saquon Barkley type guy. I'm going to franchise tag them 1 year, and then after that, I'm going to let them walk, and I'm going to bring in the next guy. That's just
I think a lot of it depends on what they can do in the pass game. Are they a complete back like a Christian McCaffrey, Barkley, Ezekiel Elliott? I would not have paid him. No, I would not have paid him. I would have let him sit there in Cabo or wherever and sit there and play in the sand. I would not have paid him that contract. But you make a fantastic point, because what did the Colts do? Marlon Mack had a really nice 2019 season, but Jonathan Taylor's sitting there in the second round. They go ahead and just swoop him up. Mark Ingram's getting a little bit older. He wants to keep playing. What does Baltimore do? They draft J.K. Dobbins. Of course, KC wasn't going to pay a Dame Williams. That wasn't their future. They bring in Edwards-Helaire, and the rest is going to be history, because that dude is going to ball. He's going to be the next Brian Westbrook. So there's a lot of these scenarios where these teams don't want to pay these guys, and you're exactly right. They can get a better guy sometimes in the second round. LA Chargers, they let Melvin Gordon walk, and they signed the pass receiving back Austin Eckler. So I think these guys that get bruised up, like your Melvin Gordons that run up the middle, the teams are letting them get beat up and then let them walk. And the little scat guys that can stay healthy a lot easier because they're used more in the pass game, I think you see them get paid like Christian McCaffrey and Austin Eckler did.
You're Zeke. I love Zeke, man. I'm a Buckeye. Look, all day. Let's go. Love me some Zeke, but I'm pretty sure that guy Tony Pollard had over 5 yards per carry. That big payday doesn't look so good when that happens, right?
Right, especially if they start going running back by committee, because all that money you just dumped into Zeke, you're already diminishing his value by using another guy. You know what I mean? You almost have to run him into the ground. That's why I'm bullish on him this year as far as fantasy, because I figure they're going to run him into the ground, and then when they don't want to pay him the excessive bucks next year, they'll release him, because it's not, you know what I mean? They'll have to pay whatever was guaranteed, but after that, see ya.
I mean, depending on how the contract is worded and the language of the contract, that's a possibility. But what do? They draft a wide receiver in the first round. This team's loaded on offense. Are they a passing team? Are they a running team? Travis Frederick retired. They have some question marks down there in Big D. And then we all know that Dak isn't signed, but it's crazy. But, Brad, I think you hit it on the head. These running back by committees are going to be crazy in 2020, but in 2021 – maybe Aaron Jones leaves and A.J. Dillon steps in. Marlon Mack is kind of in the way of Jonathan Taylor being an RB1. And how much usage, EJ, do you think Dame Williams is going to have in KC? Or is it just going to be the Edwards-Helaire show, 20 touches week 1?
Yeah, I honestly think I do like Dame Williams. I mean, that dude held them together. I mean, week 17 through the Super Bowl was a monster. I think he has a little role, but Andy Reid favors a workhorse, just like what Mike Tomlin does. And I literally think Edwards-Helaire could be better than Kareem Hunt numbers. And Kareem Hunt was top 3 when he was there.
He led the league in rushing his rookie year.
Absolutely. And Dame Williams, he's good. He was decent, but he was great in that system. I really think that you put Dame Williams, we seen him in Miami. What was he? Less than mediocre.
You could put anybody in that system, dude, and they're going to ball out, because you got to worry about Mahomes chucking it all over the damn place. I think Helaire is going to be a stud. I don't think they like Williams. I mean, because he could have had a shit ton of usage and great output. He had some nice games. I'm not trying to take anything away from him, EJ, but goddamn, if you really wanted to have a bell cow, that guy in that offense, whoever it was, if he was a really good running back, they don't like him. I think it's Clyde Edwards-Helaire all day. Love that guy. He's my number one rookie running back.
I absolutely agree. And while we're on this rookie running back, man, this is the most common question we're getting at Uncensored Football. I mean, I've literally got this, and I'm not exaggerating, over 50 times, man. It's the second round running backs. Hey, who should I take? And these are the names that keep coming off. So I'm gonna go with you guys right now because listen, let's answer it so we don't get 50 messages. Which I love the messages. Keep them coming. I don't mean that, but we're talking Zach Moss, AJ Dillon, McFarland, Keyshawn Vaughn, Joshua Kelly, P. Ryan. Those are the second, third round running backs, and everybody's saying, hey, I got 2 picks here. I want 2 running backs. Who should I take? Z, off of them names, who you taking and why?
If we're just talking those guys, so I'll refer to my rookie rankings, and AJ Dillon I have rated the highest because I think he has the highest upside. This dude balled at Boston College. And then after that, it's a big decision. Everybody's going to lean probably towards Keyshawn Vaughn because he ended up with Tom Brady and Tampa Bay, and they're going to score 1,000 points every fucking week. But I'm going to lean towards Joshua Kelly with the LA Chargers. I think Austin Eckler is the guy that Austin Eckler is. He weighs 190 pounds, and he is quick as hell, but he cannot run in between the tackles 15, 20 times a game. They let Melvin Gordon walk. And Justin Jackson is still there, and he's kind of a nice guy, the third-year pro out of Northwestern. But I think Joshua Kelly was my biggest sleeper running back in the 2020 class coming into the season, and he could have not ended up in a better spot minus Kansas City because I think he fits the Melvin Gordon role really well in between the tackles. He can catch the ball a little bit. And the only thing I was worried about was possibly his speed, and he ends up running a 4.49 at the combine. So he checked that off. This guy always falls forward, good vision. There's not a bad thing you can say about him, and I think everybody's going to be sleeping on him, let him fall down these rookie draft boards, but he's the guy you're going to wish you had next year.
And don't forget, he tied A.J. Dillon the most bench press reps. Remember that? They both tied for first place,
and he's like 35 pounds less.
Right. That's impressive, man. I mean, I hear that. What do you like, Brad?
I really like Zach Moss, especially in a dynasty format, because I really like Singletary too. So it's kind of hard to say that with those two being in the same backfield. But watching that kid when he played at Utah, dude, he ran with anger, ferocity, dude. I loved watching that kid play. I'm not a Utes fan. I don't know anybody in Ohio that's a Utes fan. But nevertheless, that dude just would go, man. Put his head down between the tackles, still shifty, got some good speed. I like everything he brings to the table. And if they don't trust Devin Singletary for the long term, and even right now, I think you're looking at a running back by committee because I don't remember there was reports in the offseason them going after Melvin Gordon. And I think they were in on maybe another running back. I can't remember off the top of my head. So it makes me think that they want to bring in another guy that can at least either compete for the job or be, a running back by committee there. And long term, he's going to have young, fresh legs. I love the way he played in Utah. I like a lot of Zach Moss and what he brings to the table.
I absolutely agree with you, bud, because Zach Moss, I loved watching him in the pack. Man, this dude's a monster, and he did it for 3 years. I think he had 3,000-yard-plus seasons in a row. To me, he's better than Devin Singletary. I'm going to tell you that right now, and you are absolutely right, Brad. They wouldn't go searching for Melvin Gordon if they were fully committed to Devin Singletary. So off of that list, I'm gonna stay consistent here with my rankings, and my first guy, like Z, is going to be A.J. Dillon for that 2021 ceiling. I mean, we're talking a playoff team that wants to be run first. He could be the featured back, so A.J. Dillon's got to be the first one on that list. Second, I'm going Keyshawn Vaughn. All you hear is Bruce Arians saying, this is a 3-down back. I really like this kid. Listen, Ronald Jones is not his guy. You want to know why? Because he started fucking Peyton Barber over him last year. If Ronald Jones was his guy, do you think he would start bum-ass Peyton Barber? No, absolutely not. But this dude let Peyton Barber win the starting job. Yes, Ronald Jones pulled together some decent games at the end of the year, but listen, Keyshawn Vaughn is going to take that job. I seen him run at Vanderbilt, and the kid's got some skills, and he's a hell of a lot better than Ronald Jones. And then third, I'm going to go ahead and agree with Z, man. Or no, I'm going to go with you with Zach Moss. Zach Moss, like I already told you, I got him at third. And then fourth, I'm going to go with Joshua Kelly. And then I'm going to go with P. Ryan, and McFarland is my last because, listen, since high school, injuries have held this kid back. We're talking senior year of high school, missed the season, redshirted, freshman year, injury, sophomore. I seen him go crazy on Ohio State, which was terrible, so maybe I hate him because of that a little bit. No, I'm just kidding. But for real, though, the kid is fragile, man. Yeah, he's fast as hell and hit a hole better than anybody, but you got to stay on the field, man. And if you can't take high school and college hits, how the hell are you going to take an NFL hit?
Yeah. I want to jump in real quick. Sorry, Brad.
Go ahead.
For real, I want to chime in on both your statements. First, I want to go with the Devin Singletary and Zach Moss. No, Devin Singletary is the superior player. There is not a question. I think Buffalo's going for kind of an Austin Eckler, Melvin Gordon situation where you have a guy that's your scat back that maybe gets 8 to 10 rushes, 4 to 5 catches, and then you have a power back that comes in and runs in between the tackles 8 to 10 times a game. And it's probably, Zach Moss is probably going to get the goal line work, but Singletary, he showed out last year on an offense that wasn't that great, and Frank Gore was taking a lot of those carries, so it's no surprise that they wanted to bring in a power back to take the role of Frank Gore. Now, chiming back in on the Ronald Jones, Keyshawn Vaughn situation, Ronald Jones might not have been toting, all the carries week 1, but this guy ended up with over 1,000 total yards, 6 or 7 touchdowns. He is an elite player. Physically, he didn't have the right mindset to play in the Bruce Arians offense. He wasn't keeping the quarterback upright. He was not very good blocking. He wasn't good in pass protection in the pass game. So he's more of the first and second down guy. I think Keyshawn Vaughn is going to step in there. I think they see a little bit of James White in him, maybe a little bigger, maybe a little bit more upside, possibly be able to tote the rock a little bit more in between the tackles. But I think Vaughn's going to be the third down back. And Ronald Jones is going to be the
why do you call him a 3-down back then? If James White ain't a 3-down back, I'll tell you that right now,
Coaches say all sorts of shit right now. Do you believe everything a coach says right now?
Bro. That's what he wanted. That's who Bruce
You're
Arians
talking about
wanted.
LaFleur talking about a Canadian Football League player right now. There ain't shit else to talk about. This guy isn't a 3-down back, man. Come on. Ronald Jones, over 1,000 total yards last year. He's going to be the goal line back, and he's going to be toting it in between the tackles. I think that's a big running back by committee in Tampa.
And here's something else to think about when we wrap up the running backs in Tampa Bay. A lot of their buzz right now is predicated on Tom Brady. And if you're talking dynasty, let's be honest, how long do you really think Tom Brady's going to be in Tampa Bay? I think he signed, a 2-year deal? Was it 2 or 3?
2 years, yeah.
2 years. So, I mean, at the end of the day, but let's say he finally does take the reins. Kelly does next year. At the end of by then, I mean, Tom Brady could be gone and they could be talking about a total rebuild and the hype isn't going to be there. But it is always fun to talk about the rankings. Love getting you guys a little heated and had some fun this afternoon talking about football. All right, you guys all riled up when it comes to the rookie running backs. Let's keep it going. Let's talk a little wide receivers. I know, EJ, you've been getting a lot of questions when it comes to the wide receiver position in fantasy. What have you been hearing? What are people asking?
It's the money rounds, man. It's always the end of the 4th, the 5th, and the 6th, but primarily around, 4-12, 5-1. Just like my theory I always talk about, man, it just falls into it perfectly. If you're in a dynasty draft, grab those young premium quarterbacks. Get them early because guess what? Get your running backs. Your running backs, your young premium quarterbacks and your running backs are the most value early because guess what? Around the end of the 4th, the 5th, the 6th is beautiful wide receiver value. And I'm getting these questions. I mean, the other day I got Juju Smith-Schuster at 412. That's ridiculous. We're talking 23 years old. But here's one I got from my boy Peter Parker. Peter always up. Parker, not Spider-Man, but, he might be Spider-Man. We don't know. But anyways, his question is, hey, I'm at 412, 5-1. He did what I said, got Kyler Murray early. And then he wanted to know, I said, well, who's left at wide receiver? He said, Juju Smith-Schuster, Cortland Sutton, Kupp, Calvin Ridley, DK Metcalf, Allen Robinson, Keenan Allen, Stephon Diggs. I'm like, wow.
Right.
He gets 2 of them. He gets 4, 12, and 5-1. Z, in that situation, which 2 of them are you taking?
Well, I'll talk about insane value, and I love how you worded that, EJ, for real. Get your quarterbacks in Superflex. Get the running backs early because they fly off the board in that late 4th, 5th, and 6th round. The wide receivers are nasty. And if Juju Smith-Schuster's there, that's an instant pick at 412, absolutely. And after that, I have to lean towards Cortland Sutton slightly over Cooper Kupp and DK Metcalf. This guy really impressed me last year. Drew Lock's going to step into the quarterback position, and he's got a lot of talent. And this guy looked like an alpha wide receiver last year. I'm leaning towards Cortland Sutton and Juju Smith-Schuster in that situation for sure.
I'm going Cortland Sutton for sure in that one. And did I hear Diggs' name thrown out there too?
Yes, sir.
I would have to look at Diggs and that big arm that Josh Allen has. They're going to want to make him a big part of that offense after what they had to pay to get him. I would definitely be throwing that out there. And man, I like Cooper Kupp too, and so does his quarterback. Man, he trusts him. That's his go-to guy. That's who he's always looking for.
That's a tough situation.
It is.
And like
That's a great situation, actually, to have all that talent right there.
To have. So we all agree. Well, EJ, I didn't get your answer, man. Tell Peter what you think.
I already told him, man. I'm going Juju and DK Metcalf. Two young guys that have wide receiver one superstar ceilings. I mean, we're just seeing the very beginning of the DK Metcalf show. This guy is huge. They let him run a few routes. Pete Carroll made it known that he's running multiple routes this year. He's expanding his route tree. DK Metcalf, man. Him and Russell Wilson are going to be making noise for a long time. I do love Allen Robinson. I mean, you think he's 35, but really he's only 27. I love somebody, Stephon Diggs. He probably gets 150 targets this year. I get it. But if I'm in a dynasty, I love Cortland Sutton. But you don't think Jerry Jeudy's going to come there and steal some show? Bro, Jerry Jeudy's going to get his targets too. And Jerry Jeudy might be better than Cortland Sutton. We don't know that yet. I mean, Noah Fant's there who's stepping up. I mean, I do love Cortland Sutton. Don't get me wrong. I love everything about Denver. But at that position, I got to go Juju and DK Metcalf. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, Russell Wilson's definitely the best quarterback of the group that's going to be thrown to those wide receivers. So you would not be stupid taking DK. I honestly don't think you can go wrong anywhere.
Right.
I love all those guys. And my inbox has been blowing up too also on these wide receiver rookies, EJ. And one of the biggest questions is you're in the early second round, and it was almost like in the second round. Yeah, in the second round of the real NFL draft, I mean, T. Higgins went, Denzel Mims went, Michael Pittman went. These wide receivers were flying off the board. The biggest question I've been getting is Denzel Mims and Michael Pittman. EJ, which way do you lean and why on that question? Because those guys are very similar.
Yeah, they are. I mean, Michael Pittman's that big guy to USC, but what's he in? He's in a crowded wide receiver group because guess what? T.Y. Hilton has proven that he's great, healthy. And then, you know, everybody wants to forget about Paris Campbell. Well, last year they drafted Paris Campbell to be their star. So Paris Campbell could bounce back and be that guy, and he's so much value. Oh, God, I take him in every single dynasty. I love everything about Paris Campbell from Ohio State, and not just because he's a Buckeye, but
it's because he's a Buckeye.
No, it's because he's the absolute everything you want in a wide receiver. But Denzel Mims, let's be real. Who else they going to throw the ball to? I mean, they got a nice little slot guy in Jamison Crowder, and, you know, maybe Le'Veon Bell does something this year. I mean, poke him with a stick long enough. I don't really know, but Denzel Mims will probably get over 100 targets, man. And if Sam Darnold is worth the shit, which, you know, rookie year, we know what happened. He's a rookie. And then sophomore year, he lost 25 pounds with mono. But if he's worth it, damn, he's got to go to his ace. I'm talking his go-to guy, and that's Denzel Mims. So I'm going Denzel Mims there, Z, just because he's going to get a lot of volume for a while.
Yeah, I'm pretty close on both of them, especially if you're talking rookie rankings of these guys. They're right there in the same kind of category. I would probably lean towards Mims just because the things you mentioned, DJ, with the amount of work he's probably going to get, and you hope that long term that the old redhead's going to be the quarterback there long term for the Jets. And when you talk about Indy, I like Phillip Rivers this year, but I don't know how long he's going to be there, and who knows what the quarterback situation is going to look like in Indy post Phillip. So
I agree. I go Denzel Mims also, but it's very close. I think Mims is a superior prospect coming into the draft, and he ends up into a situation where if he's worth a damn, you're going to find out day one because they just simply don't have any other weapons. Brashad Perryman, we all know that story. No real tight end. Le'Veon Bell's washed up. So Sam Darnold is going to be throwing to somebody. This team's pathetic. We've gone through this up and down. This team's going to have to be trying to come back in the third and fourth quarter. And if Denzel Mims can play, you're going to find out in 2020. I'm pretty excited to see it. And another rookie question, and this is the 5 stars right here. And I think it's an easy answer, but you guys might not so much. So in Dynasty football, who are you leaning towards? And I'm going to go to you, Brad, first. Who are you leaning towards? CeeDee Lamb or Jerry Jeudy?
Oh, see, you know I'm a big CeeDee Lamb guy, but see, there's the thing, too. I was going to say, like, Dallas has a crowded wide receiver room, but Denver kind of does, too. They got some guys there now, too, after making some of the moves that they did. I'm going with my guy. I'm going with the guy that I like coming out of the draft. I'm going with CeeDee Lamb. I love his abilities after the catch. I think he can contort his body and makes some really good plays. He locates the ball, brings it down well. He has speed, and he is hard to tackle. He's an elusive big guy. I know he's going to be fighting some other guys for opportunities there, but I just love what he brings to the table. I'm going to lean CeeDee Lamb over Jerry Jeudy.
EJ, what you think, homie?
I'm gonna agree with Brad. You know why? Because of Dak Prescott, bro. Dak Prescott. I listen. I do like Locke. I do like Locke a lot, and you know, but let's be honest. We don't know what we're gonna get out of Drew Lock yet. We don't know if he's gonna be great or he's gonna be a bust. You know, I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you, dude. I like Paxton Lynch coming out of college. I just really did, but you know, he's in a situation where you don't know. But guess what? Dak Prescott could mess around and be quarterback one this year. I'm serious. There's no reason why Dak Prescott couldn't be quarterback one. He's on a contract year, fighting for a payday. He's got Amari Cooper. He's got Gallup. He's got CeeDee Lamb, who could be the best receiver out of all of them. And you got Blake Jarwin with the best offensive line in the NFL. And Zeke Elliott, I mean, CeeDee Lamb is in a juicy, juicy situation.
And here's the thing before you go, Zach. I'll take either one of them on my fantasy dynasty team. I'll be happy with either one of them if I grab them in a draft. I'll be fine. But I'll lean towards Lamb for the question.
Absolutely. All right. Before I go forward, come on. You just said Paxton Lynch up in here. Come on now,
bro. I'm just saying, dude. Oh, so you didn't like him coming in? Oh, really? Bro, come on, man. You can't switch takes on you. There's no way you did not like Paxton Lynch when John Elway said that's my guy.
He's in Pittsburgh, isn't he? He was in Pittsburgh for a hot minute.
I don't know, man. I think he's a bouncer at the local club. Are you kidding me? Anyway, I'm gonna go forward, and I don't think it's close.
He rode shotgun with that the kid from the CFL when he delivered your food.
Yeah,
I'm just saying how many Broncos quarterbacks really panned out.
Absolutely, you know? I get it. Drew Lock has a lot to prove, but Jerry Jeudy, I just see it as an elite prospect coming into this. This guy creates separation like you hardly ever see at this level. And yeah, Cortland Sutton's on the other side, and it was not a juicy situation. I'm gonna say this: it was not a juicy situation for either player. Either player could have ended up way better volume situation, but they ended up where they're at. And yeah, Drew Lock has to prove himself, and Cortland Sutton's on the other side. But CeeDee Lamb has to battle Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup. And guess what? They're a running team in Dallas. I don't care how many touchdowns and yards Dak Prescott threw. They're a running team. Is the highest paid player on a long contract is Ezekiel Elliott. And he's going to be getting the ball. But I think Jerry Jeudy was a better prospect. And I think he's a better fantasy prospect going forward. But they're very close. And I do still like CeeDee Lamb. But there's a lot of mouths to feed. Michael Gallup showed out last year.
They doubled down with KJ Hamler, though. You think he's just going to sit around and watch Jerry Jeudy and Courtney
No,
Sutton?
he's going to run.
He's going to be in there all day.
No, he's 165 pounds soaking wet. He's not going to be that type of guy.
They got Marquise Brown on the
Broncos. They got them for their speed.
And they got Deshaun Hamilton there too. That's just another guy. He's got
every team except the Green Bay Packers has offensive weapons. Let's face it. Every team except Green Bay has all sorts of little KJ Hamlers and Deshaun Hamiltons, but Dallas has 3 alpha-type wide receivers. There's only one football, y'all.
That's going to be interesting in Big D this year. I can't wait to see it.
Hey, and y'all listen to this one in my inbox because I cannot figure this one out. This is the closest one of the bunch, and it's Preston Williams, our big Mike Williams in LA. So it's the Williams versus Williams scenario. EJ, I think I know which way you're going, but I'm going to ask anyway. Who do you like in between Preston Williams and big Mike Williams out in LA?
Well, that boy Preston's coming off a serious injury. Let's be real. But he was the target favorite. And I think the best thing that Miami can do is, let that boy Tua sit for a little bit. Let him heal his hip. Get him the first year, sit him. Let him learn, man. There's a lot of quarterbacks that they kill him because they put him in there too early and they never amount to shit. Let's be real. I think the best thing they could do is let Fitz magic, throw a little magic around. If between the two, we don't really know what's going to happen. I think Lynn is on a hot seat. I mean, everybody's just so certain that, oh, my God, Tyrod Taylor's the starter. No, bro. This guy is on a hot seat. Listen to me. He's on a hot seat, and the better quarterback is Justin Herbert. So I'm going to go with Mike Williams because we don't really know who his favorite target's going to be. Obviously, Phillip Rivers' favorite was Keenan Allen, but there's nothing telling us that Justin Herbert's favorite target is not going to be Mike Williams. So I'm going to go Mike Williams there.
Yeah, I would go Mike Williams too all day. I like what he brings to the table. He's a little more proven. He's not that old. He's a big body too, regardless of who the quarterback is. If it's Tyrod Taylor, Tyrod Taylor's a hard watch, guys. We had to sit through 3 games in Cleveland, and I could barely stand it. But if he has any chance of making it there, and if they really do believe him like they say they do coming out of LA, he's going to have to get the ball to playmakers, and he's going to look for that big body guy in the red zone. And I think Herbert, too, being a young quarterback, he's going to look for that big body guy as well. I still think Keenan Allen can do it, but he's another injury-prone guy, too. Mike Williams could end up being the number 1 wide receiving threat there in LA very quickly. I like Mike Williams a little bit better.
Yeah, Mike Williams last year, listen to this. He caught under 50 balls and still had 1,000 yards. So this guy averaged over 20 yards per catch, only 2 touchdowns. That's going to go up. This guy was a raw product coming out of Clemson, and he has not reached his potential yet. I think Herbert coming in is going to be like a breath of fresh air for Mike Williams. They extended him for his 5th year. So he's going to be an LA Charger for the next 2 seasons. He's going to be able to get the work with Justin Herbert. On the other side, Preston Williams with an ACL injury. I know everybody says it's 2020 and these ACLs rebuild themselves, but you never quite know until you see the player on the field. Devontae Parker ain't going nowhere. They signed that man. So I think it's Devontae Parker's wide receiver core, and I'm going to lean towards Big Mike Williams, even though it's really close. Mike Williams is my 36th ranked wide receiver in Dynasty. Preston Williams is the 38th, so it's very close. And I do like Preston. He has some upside. He did show a lot last year. And Tua coming in there after this season, you have to be kind of excited about. All right, I got one more. I can't figure this one out, man. This is my 24th and 25th ranked wide receiver. It's Devontae Parker and DJ Chark. So we're going to stay in Miami. Who are you leaning in DJ Chark and Devontae Parker, Brad?
I'm going to go with Devontae Parker because I think he's going to be the number 1 there. I know Preston Williams, who we were just talking about, is going to be trying to get in some shares and probably take away a few opportunities. But I feel like Devontae Parker is going to get a little more opportunity. I don't know who the clear-cut number 1 is. I don't know enough about Gardner Minshew. We talked about Laviska Shenault. I know he's your boy. If he is the playmaker you think he's going to be, then I don't know how much work's going to be there for Chark. Plus, they've got like a bunch of other guys that are pretty similar or interchangeable, I would say. I know Marquise Lee's not there anymore. I'll go with Parker on this one and hope that he can have a good season. I know there's still question marks there too. Both guys got question marks at quarterbacks. We don't know if it's going to be Tua or if it's going to be Fitzmagic, but I'm just going to lean towards a guy with a little more experience. I know that's not always the way to go in Dynasty, but I like Parker a little bit more right now.
Yeah, I'm going Devontae Parker, man. People just – I get it. The first couple of weeks, he was out-targeted by Preston Williams. I get it, okay? But guess what? Week 14, 17 points. I'm just going to go through real fast, 11.8. But then we get in the green, 16.5, 11.9, 15.7, 11.9, 20.5, 15, 34.9, 4.8, 23.2, 22.1, 21.7. Listen, guys, that means from week 4 on, this dude was averaging over 20 points a game. I don't give a shit what he burned everybody before that, but this dude woke up, man. Devontae Parker is 27 years old, 6'3", 215. He's the real deal now, man. He really is. And if he only had this 1 year and you didn't know anything about his burn before that, you'd be drafting him in the 2nd round. Like, Devontae Parker, as long as Fitzpatrick is the quarterback there, he should be very explosive again and very consistent. And that's what I want in fantasy is consistency.
Absolutely. I'm going to lean towards the younger player a little bit, DJ Chark, and they're very close to me. I mean, this is like apples and oranges for real, but DJ Chark showed me something. He's a little younger last year, and he came out. I mean, he was such a raw product out of LSU. Like I said about Mike Williams, these were guys that were big and fast, but you didn't really see it really articulate on the field with routes and just some of the stuff that takes to be a pro NFL wide receiver. He showed me a lot last year. And in fantasy, Gardner Minshew might not be the future, but they're going to throw it. This guy's going to be running around trying to make plays. They're going to get it in this guy's hand. I think Chenault's there, but I think they're 2 absolute different players that do 2 different things. In Miami, I think Preston Williams and Devontae Parker mirror each other. Chenault and Chark are absolutely the polar opposite. Chark's the outside guy. I mean, 6'4", 205 with 4.3 speed. I mean, if you didn't know any better, that's like Julio type stuff. So if this guy can work a little bit more on his craft, I think he can make that Cortland Sutton transition into the upper tier of the wide receivers, even though he doesn't have any sort of quarterback at all. But I mean, that was a tough one. Any guys in your inboxes on wide receivers that are asking questions right now?
In wrapping up, here's one thing I know for sure. The Jaguars and the Dolphins are going to be playing from behind all season, and they're going to be throwing the hell out of football. And that's what I want out of wide receiver threes. That's really what I want out of them. So they're both wins in my book.
All right. Well, I think that kind of wraps up the wide receiver talk for today. But keep those inbox questions coming here on Uncensored Football. We got it for you on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, up on YouTube. Make sure you're following along with the podcast and everything that we're putting out there. We put a lot of work into it. Hopefully you guys are enjoying it. Make sure you follow, share, like, all that good stuff that makes social media go around. For myself, for Zach, for EJ, we're out.
Peace.